Alright guys, what's happening? And welcome to the Action Channel. So speaking of testosterone, today I thought it would be interesting to check out some of the greatest and most developed legs in bodybuilding history. And yes, the word freakiness does not even come close to describe what we're about to see. Now of course there's been a lot of great physiques, but since we don't have time to talk about all of them, I narrowed it down to what I think is the top 3 in regards to leg development, and especially when we're focusing on the quads. And honestly, it's not even easy or fair to compare, because how do you define great legs? Are we focusing on the size, the thickness, or the definition, how they work with the rest of the body? Everybody seems to have their own opinions in regards to this. So obviously this is not going to be easy. Okay, so before the countdown begins, let me remind you what Arnold said in his book, Education of a Bodybuilder. If a man has big thighs but small calves, you will say, his legs does not look that good. Whereas if he has really developed calves and not exactly the biggest thighs, you're gonna say, yeah, that man has great legs. Which is quite interesting. Okay, so coming in at number 3, we have Jay Cutler, 4-time Mr. Olympia, 3-time Arnold Classic winner. When Jay Cutler won his 3rd Mr. Olympia in 2009, he was in top shape. And this picture has become one of the most iconic shots in bodybuilding history. Those quads looks like something that belongs on King Kong. Jay Cutler has said that legs are his favorite body part to train and to build great quads. Throughout his career, he has focused on doing a lot of squats, leg press, and leg extensions. And as you can see, the man's impressive calves obviously measure up as well, which is not always the case with bodybuilders, because so much of great calf development has to do with genetics. Which leads us to number 2. Big Ramy himself. Now, Big Ramy is in a league of his own, no doubt. However, it did take him many years to reach the top. But he finally did, and in 2020 and 2021, he won the prestigious Mr. Olympia title. In fact, Big Ramy was the first non-American to win the Mr. Olympia since Dorian Yates won back in 1997. The 2 biggest bodybuilders ever on the Mr. Olympia stage are 8-time Mr. Olympia winner Ronnie Coleman and then Big Ramy. Both of them around 300 pounds. And of course, in the off-season, even more. So that leads us to the question, what about Ronnie Coleman? What about his legs? Yes, they were very impressive, but I still would not put them quite on the same level as the ones you see on Big Ramy. He is the only bodybuilder in the world with quads over 35 inches, which is actually more than a lot of men's waistlines. And as you can see, they almost look photoshopped and cartoonish in these pictures. However, I can assure you they're not. Okay, so the big question, who is the winner? Who has the best legs in bodybuilding history? Well, in my mind, it's pretty obvious. The trophy has to go to Tom Platz himself. Now that goes without saying that he was best known for his leg development, which in his prime measured over 30 inches, earning him the nickname the Quad Father. You may say, well, that's less than Big Ramy. Yeah, but he's also shorter than Big Ramy, so there's also that. As a teenager, he got involved with weight training and was later acquainted with Olympic weightlifter Norb Szymanski and Freddie Lowe. And they taught him the proper way of doing squats. Now that helped quite a bit. And let's not forget the man's genetics were also absolutely tip-top. Like perhaps 1 in a billion. Now I would say that even though his quads are technically smaller than Big Ramy's, his legs altogether, when you also include the calves, simply just look much more impressive. Just to make some comparisons, as you can see, Big Ramy's calves were just not that great. And I think we have to give Tom Platz some extra points here, since he's from the legendary golden era of bodybuilding in the 1970s and 80s as well. And back in those days, it was a very simple way of training. They had nothing compared to what we have today in regards to equipment, training method, knowledge, nutrition, which is one of the reasons why when you see bodybuilders from the 70s versus today, there's a big difference. So for Tom Platz in the 1970s and 80s to be able to not only compete with bodybuilders of today, but in my mind also surpass them, is absolutely amazing. I would say his leg development was equally as impressive as Arnold's chest back in his prime. So what was Tom Platz's secret in getting humongous legs? Well, here's what the man has to say. The secret is not squatting heavy, but more reps. Reps are more important. You see a lot of guys lifting heavy, but they have small and non-impressive legs. Now remember guys, bodybuilding is more of an illusion. It's about looking good. It's not a strongman contest. Now that being said, a lot of bodybuilders actually are strong as well. And Tom Platz competed in the 1992 squat off, as it has been described. That year he faced Fred Hatfield in a squat competition. The squat off, as it's often called, went down in Germany. It was decided that these two guys had to compete in two phases, a max lift portion and a single set with 525 pounds for the most reps possible. For 525 pounds, Platz completed 25 reps. And his opponent, in contrast, managed to only do 11 reps. Now, a lot of people that have squatted 500 pounds knows that that's quite a bit. So for Platz to complete 23 reps is absolutely amazing. Now, on the other hand, when they tried to see who could actually squat the heaviest, Fred Hatfield managed to squat 855 pounds, whereas Platz squatted 765, so 90 pounds less. Platz has also done over 100 reps with 225 pounds in a single set, so the man simply had superhuman legs. But here's what's really interesting. The man never won the Mr. Olympia title. He came close though. In 1981 he placed third at the Mr. Olympia, and he also won the Mr. Universe and countless of other titles throughout his career as well. I think a lot of people will agree with me when I say that Tom Platz had the most perfectly developed quads ever, which included sweep, mass, separation, proportion, thickness by the knee, literally anything you can think of on a perfectly looking bodybuilder. When the man walked into the gym to train legs, not only would the man do dozens of sets in what could easily be described as killer workouts, but on top of that, when most people would finish and just go home, Tom Platz would go outside, get a bicycle, and ride his bike for another 20 miles, just to exhaust his legs even more, to the point where there was literally nothing left, and the man could barely walk after that. Now that is dedication in my book. Okay, so what was Tom Platz's secret? Everybody wants to know that. Well, we have already gone over the man's genetics and the man's willpower, especially under the squat rack. But here's what a lot of people don't know. Tom Platz actually used 3 different types of shoes for different leg exercises. One for squats, in which the shoes had small heels. Another types of shoes, flat shoes for hack squats. And for calves, he would wear different shoes as well. Okay, so if the man had the baddest bodybuilding legs that the world has ever seen on the bodybuilding stage, why did he never win a Mr. Olympia title? Well, to be a little critical here, which is what bodybuilding is all about, the details, I would say the man's upper body, muscularity-wise, certainly did not match his legs. If he did, he definitely would have been considered one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Maybe the greatest. However, in this video, we're mostly focusing on the quads or the legs altogether, not the upper body. And in the leg department, well, there's no doubt that Tom Platz had it all. Even Arnold has complimented the man's overly developed legs many times. Then again, how could he not? The man's bodybuilding career spanned from 1973 to 1987. And the man is very much into philosophy. He's known contemporarily for seminar speeches on his life, work, inspirations, and motivation, as well as help training other bodybuilders. Still to this day, 40-50 years after the man was competing, he's still very well respected in the world of bodybuilding. So anyway guys, thanks for checking out this video. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you next week for some more action. Take care now.